Hello, I didn't see you there. Okay, I think that was the worst intro I'm ever going to do on this channel, but it's going to make the final cut. So, yes, after that little bit of a fun intro, as you can see from the title, today, I'm going to be sharing with you my settings, my force feedback, my graphic settings, my onboard POV settings, everything that I'm using in the game to try and go faster and be the best in the world at the game. So, without hesitation, let's get into it because I don't want to waste your time. Assists are all turned off in F1 Esports. Assists are not permitted. So, we run it all off, and in my opinion, it's the most enjoyable way to play the game. On-screen display is pretty simple. I think the only thing I do different to some other F1 esports drivers is I run the virtual mirror turned off. I find the virtual mirror to be a distraction, in my opinion, so I prefer to have it off and be fully focused on the road ahead of me. If I need to look at a car behind, I can press the look behind button or look in the mirrors. With the control settings, the force feedback is the most important setting, in my opinion, to find more pace within the game. Calibration, I only have the dead zone turned to 10, and that's just so I can rest my foot going on the straight. So my advice to you at home is make your dead zone so that you can rest your foot on the pedal, and then as soon as you're applying conscious pressure, then it goes to 1%. If you're resting your foot and it's making brake pressure, then you're not really going to be that comfortable, and you're going to spend more of your mental energy to be lifting your foot off the pedal rather than to be nailing that braking zone and setting world records at home. Force feedback. Of course, we had the force feedback turned on, otherwise this video wouldn't be existing. Then we have 80% because I actually found myself to be liking it much stronger, and giving much more heavy force feedback for me is giving me more confidence, especially in the low speed corners, being more precise with 1 to 2 degree differences on the steering wheel, making big differences in tire temperature. So having it heavier is allowing me to have more muscle memory, of where the wheel's going. When it's lighter, I found myself sometimes going too far on the steering wheel or turning too quickly, what was causing scrub in the front tires, overheating them as the result. On-track, rumble, and off-track effects are all turned to 0. In my opinion, these are all a big distraction, what I do not want. For example, when you're having the on-track effects, that is just the bumps and undulation of the track, making effects in the steering wheel. And for example, if you're going through a corner and the steering wheel bumps, with having this turned on, you don't actually know if it's the car sliding or it's the track making a bump into the force feedback. So this is why I have it turned off, and the settings I have is only telling me what the car is doing. Visually, I can see the track. I don't need to feel the bumps in the track. It's just a distraction that I do not like, I do not want, and having this turned off is making me go faster. The wheel damper is set to 10. Again, that's just sort of assist with having a heavier steering wheel in low speed corners and giving me more confidence to be precise with the steering wheel movement. The same effect with the understeer enhance is primarily just designed to give me more feeling of when the understeer is becoming too much in the car. So having this turned off, in my opinion, the force feedback feels a bit light, it feels a bit weightless, and the tyres are not really connected to the road. Having this turned on gives me more feeling of when the front tyres are going over their grip limit and I'm about to have catastrophic understeer costing me lap time. But on the control scheme, the only thing I think is really special on this setting is that I have the shortcuts with my brake bias set to my right, rotary on the Fanatec wheel, and my differential set to my left. Of course, up means more and down means less. And then I have my car temperature panel set to button 7. Or at home, if you prefer, just to make it within reachable distance with your thumb or your finger, is a perfect solution as well. Because the car temperature panel in this game is so important with the tire temperatures, being able to check it halfway through a qualifying lap with lightning speed between the corners or on the straight is really critical to finding that little bit of lap time, in my opinion, and that consistency comes with that as well. So it's a good little advice for you, having all these things quickly mapped so you can make a much easier adjustment in the lap. But now my graphic settings is on 80 on the gamma. That's just so the screen isn't too bright and I can be more comfortable with my eyes when I'm driving for long distances in a day. The motion blur is turned to 0 because having it higher, in my opinion, is a distraction. The motion blur is just designed to make you feel like you have more sense of speed. Reducing the sense of speed gives me more precision in the high speed corners. And then with the steering animation turned on, having the steering animation turned off gives me a feeling of not really being connected to the car, and it becomes a bit of a distraction when I turn my physical steering wheel, but I don't see the steering wheel in game turn. So that's just my preference. My video mode 1080p, I don't really need 4K. It doesn't really change anything. Can make it look more pretty, but in F1 esports we're required to run 1080p anyway, so that stays the same. Refresh rate 240, that's just because my monitor can, but it doesn't really matter because I have my frames per second capped to 150, and that's just because I found 1 or 2 weeks ago the game with lower frames per second was changing the force feedback for some reason. So the lower uh, frames per second that I was having um, meant heavier force feedback, and the more frames per second I was having meant a lighter force feedback. I don't really know why this is happening, or maybe this is just with my game. I don't know. But anyway, I have it capped to 150 because I found that to be the best solution for me and my feeling in the car. Um, the filtering is set to 16 times as well as in combination with the sharpening of the TAA, of the anti-aliasing. This just gives me the most clear setting. For example, with these settings, the white line is super, super precise. You sometimes see with other drivers that the white line is a bit faded. For example, around Paul Ricard, the white line can become a bit faded and you don't really know where the track limits are perfectly. With this setting, it's perfect all the time, and then you could be more precise with the track limit. So for me, that's really important. I just nice voice crack. I just run the advanced graphics settings on the preset of high, but the only difference is with the particles are turned off. So in the rain, it's really critical to not be distracted by the water droplets coming onto the screen, and having it turned off allows that to happen, that you don't have this distraction. For me, it's worth 1 to 2 tenths per lap, and could be the difference between not crashing. For example, around Monaco in the rain is very difficult. So not having this distraction is really, really important. And the high graphic settings just gives me a clear visual of what's happening in the game. Now, we have the audio settings. Very, very important, the audio in sim racing, to have the feeling of the car. Master volume is just turned to 5. That's just where I feel comfortable with my headset and my ears to not cause myself hearing damage. The effects and speech both turn to 10. The effects are like locking up or running over the curb. I like to hear this. It's good audio cueing to when you need to brake or turn in. So having this effect turned high is quite critical for me. The speech of the engineer, so when the engineer does speak, it's very important to hear the engineer clearly. Could make the difference between going to dry tires or wet tires, or telling that another driver has a penalty maybe. Other cars and voice chat both return to 10. Other cars, same reason as the previous two, that you want to hear clearly what another car is alongside you or racing you. So it can make the difference in wheel-to-wheel combat to make yourself more successful. Voice chat, I have turned off all the time anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I just leave it on 10. Nighttime mode, basically that just makes all the sound effects equal to each other, so that the curb is as loud as the car. I don't like this. I like my car to always be the highest audio within the game, because that's telling me more about the engine braking and how the car can be going through the corner with speed, because I do use the audio of the car to help me with the feeling of speed through the corner, because of course the faster you're going, the higher RPM you have, and you can listen to that differently in the corner as well, especially on the wheel spin. If you're going to pick up wheel spin, you'll hear that the RPM goes higher for a momentarily and then goes lower once you stop having the wheel spin. So it's a useful detail to have. Engineer ducking, that's when the engineer goes quieter. That makes the engine quieter versus the engineer, and I don't like this. Like I say, I want the engine always to be a pronounced audio within the game, and allows me to have the best feeling possible. The audio quality is set to the ultra high. I want the best quality of the audio to give me the best feeling possible. So if your PC can handle this, do run ultra high. In my opinion, can make a difference. And then going down here, I just have upshift tone turned off because in my opinion is annoying to have this feeling. The start lights turned on again can help with the audio to be more focused before the lights go out and have the best start possible. Driver helmet mix, I don't run in cockpit camera anyway, so I've just left it. My radio is set to responses only because I don't want to hear the engineer when I don't need him. So for me, that's important that only the engineer will speak when I'm ready for the engineer to speak. Plus, in F1 Esports, we have our own engineers in person anyway, so you don't really need to rely on the game. I'm very quickly going to show you my POV settings. I just need to go quickly into time trial. To be able to do that, of course, pick the Ferrari, the beautiful car, then we'll very, very quickly load into Bahrain and then be able to show you it. So, in the lovely garage. But now, going on to track, pause it and go to settings and you see camera customization. And these are my T-port settings. So 000, 20, -20. Near clip plane is just how far in the distance you see the track. So I like to be seeing every bit of the track I can. So that's at maximum. Mirror angle is -14. That just helps me see the cars behind me. Camera shake 0. Camera movement 0. So in my feeling, having the field of view set to 0 as well, the offset, is the most natural for me. It gives me the best feeling, the best sense of speed within the game. So that's why it's set to 0 and not going higher or lower. So that, like I say, just gives me the best speed because every single setting I have on this game is designed to make me faster and more consistent within the game. So you know that there's not going to be any wasted tips in this video. I know that I rushed through it quite quickly and spoke maybe sometimes fast, but I don't want to waste your time. I want to keep this video as condensed as possible because I value your time as well as my time, and I can make more YouTube videos if I'm making the videos quicker, let's say. But I hope everyone enjoyed. If you have any questions that you want to know more, post it in the comments and I will reply to you. But for now, have an amazing day, have an amazing night. Let me know if these settings do help you over my Twitter, Instagram. Feel free to message me anytime if you have a question. But have an amazing evening, have an amazing day, have an amazing week, have an amazing month, have an amazing year. Why not? But for now, glad to was actually ciao ciao.